before borders were drawn and monuments carved. This land told its story in stone and sky. In South Dakota, time isn't just measured in centuries. It's measured in layers of fossilized bone, in prairies that remember buffalo, and in rock formations older than memory itself. This is where the earth cracked open to reveal oceans long vanished, where sacred hills whisper stories in the wind, and where the silence of the plains says more than words ever could. South Dakota isn't what you expect. It's more, and it's been waiting. South Dakota is often reduced to a monument or a highway exit. But step off the beaten path, and you'll find a land carved not by men, but by wind, water, and time itself. In the west, the Black Hills rise like a forested island, sacred to the Lakota, hiding labyrinths of stone beneath their slopes. Just beyond, the Badlands erupt in twisted towers and painted canyons, where bones of prehistoric beasts still lie cradled in dust. To the north, ancient rivers cut deep through red rock, while to the south, silence blankets the plains where history turned. From fossil beds older than the dinosaurs to underground worlds still being mapped today, South Dakota holds more than anyone expects. This is a state of contrasts, wild and sacred, brutal and beautiful. And its wonders aren't always easy to reach, but they're worth every step. This is Era Trails, and these are the wonders of South Dakota. At first glance, Sioux Falls may seem like just another Great Plains city, modern, orderly, surrounded by farmland. But at its heart lies a force far older than any street or skyline. The falls of the Big Sioux River, where ancient quartzite breaks the surface in a violent, sculpted cascade. The rock here, pink Sioux quartzite, is nearly 1.5 billion years old, among the oldest exposed stone in the country. It formed under unimaginable heat and pressure, back when this land lay beneath shallow seas. Over time, the Big Sioux carved directly through it, exposing fault lines and smoothing stone into natural terraces and pools. These falls gave the city its name. But long before settlers arrived, this place was sacred. The Dakota Sioux recognized it as a gathering ground, a place of rest and renewal in the middle of vast prairie. Even now, the energy remains. Sit near the lower falls at sunrise, and you can hear both water and time. Today, Falls Park wraps around the river like a frame, but the land still steals the show. In spring, melting snow rushes through the channels. In winter, ice laces the edges. And all year, the quartzite glows, rose-colored at dawn, deep crimson at dusk. Sioux Falls isn't just a city. It's a fracture in the plains where the earth speaks first, and everything else follows. There's no slow transition into the Badlands. One moment you're crossing endless prairie. The next, the ground collapses into a maze of ridges, gullies, and razor-sharp peaks. This is Badlands National Park, a place where the earth has been peeling back its layers for millions of years. Erosion here is constant. Rain, wind, and frost chew through the soft sedimentary rock, exposing a cross-section of time. Ancient floodplains, ash from distant volcanoes, and the fossilized bones of creatures long gone. Rhinoceros-like brontotheres, saber-toothed cats, and giant pigs once walked this land. Now they sleep in the stone. From above, the formations look painted, stripes of ochre, gray, red, and white stack like sedimentary memories. Each color marks a different era. Each layer tells a different story. For the Lakota Sioux, this land was never bad. It was sacred, a place of visions, danger, and ceremony. They call it Makosika, land bad, not because it lacked beauty, but because it demanded respect. Bison still roam the mixed-grass prairies surrounding the buttes. Prairie dogs chirp from their burrows, and on quiet evenings, long shadows stretch across the cracked soil like fingers reaching back through time. The Badlands are a paradox, lifeless and alive, ancient and eroding, empty and overflowing with meaning, and they remind us that the surface of the earth is never finished. If you stand still in Buffalo Gap National Grassland, you'll hear it. Wind across tall grass, the faint rustle of creatures hidden beneath the soil, and a silence that stretches in every direction. This isn't emptiness, it's endurance. Spanning nearly 600,000 acres, Buffalo Gap is one of the largest remaining stretches of mixed-grass prairie in the United States. A remnant of a once vast ecosystem that covered the heart of North America like a living sea. Here, the grasslands roll like waves. Herds of bison graze beneath cloud shadows. Prairie dogs form bustling colonies, and burrowing owls rise silently into the dusk. Beneath your feet, rich fossil beds tell of ancient wetlands and extinct species, proof that even what feels forgotten still carries memory. This land borders the Badlands, but feels like its opposite. Wide instead of sharp, slow instead of sudden, yet both tell the same story, of a continent shaped by water, time, and wind, and of landscapes that only look empty until you really look. The Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arikara knew these plains not as wilderness, but as home. For them, the prairie held meaning in every direction. The path of the sun, the grazing of the herds, the cycle of fire and rain. Today, most visitors pass through without stopping. But if you linger, even for a moment, you'll sense it. A quiet vastness that humbles the horizon. This is where sky meets soil, and where survival is a form of grace. They rise suddenly from the plains, dark, pine-covered ridges that seem to cast their own weather. These are the Black Hills, or as the Lakota call them, Pahasapa, the heart of everything that is. This is not just a mountain range. It's a sacred geography, a place of origin, prophecy, and ceremony. For the Lakota, Cheyenne, and other indigenous nations, the Black Hills are alive with story. Every ridge, every spring, every stone has a name and memory. Geologically, the Black Hills are a paradox, formed by ancient uplift, Their core is composed of some of the oldest rocks on Earth. Granites over 1.8 billion years old. Yet within them lie caves still being discovered and forests teeming with life. Ponderosa pine, mountain lions, bighorn sheep, and rare orchids thriving in hidden canyons. Above ground, the hills offer sweeping views and wind-blasted spires. Below ground, they open into labyrinths, like Wind Cave and Jewel Cave, where air moves on its own and crystal formations stretch into the dark. Carved into the granite face of the Black Hills, Mount Rushmore is one of the most iconic and contested monuments in America. Meant to symbolize national unity, it instead rises from land that was never ceded, the sacred Paha Sapa of the Lakota Sioux. The faces Washington, Jefferson, Roosevelt, and Lincoln stand 60 feet tall. But for many, it's what was taken to carve them that speaks louder. Just beyond, the Crazy Horse Memorial rises in answer, a monument not of empire but of defiance. Rushmore is a wonder of engineering, but also a mirror. What we see in it often depends on how we look. Just miles from Mount Rushmore, another face rises from stone, not yet complete, but already unforgettable. This is the Crazy Horse Memorial, a monument to Lakota resistance, identity, and endurance. Commissioned by Lakota elders and carved into the sacred Black Hills, the sculpture depicts Crazy Horse, the famed warrior who once said, "My lands are where my dead lie buried." When finished, it will be the largest mountain carving in the world. Deep in the Black Hills, tucked between ponderosa pine and granite outcrops, lies a town that no longer breathes, but still watches. This is Spokane, South Dakota, once a thriving mining camp, now a skeleton of memory. Founded in the late 1800s during the Black Hills mining boom, Spokane promised silver, gold, and fortune. At its peak, it had homes, a schoolhouse, and a bustling population. But as with so many boomtowns, the veins ran dry. By the 1940s, the town was mostly empty. The last caretaker vanished in 1980, leaving behind his dog, his shotgun, and an unanswered story. Today, Spokane is silent. The school still stands, its walls warped by time. Mining equipment rusts in the grass. A few outbuildings collapse slowly into the earth. There are no plaques, no fences, just open land, open sky, and the past decaying at its own pace. Wind moves through broken windows, deer cross old footpaths, and if you listen closely, you might hear footsteps that aren't yours. In the Black Hills, sacred to the Lakota, places like Spokane feel like interruptions. Ghost towns don't just mark where people lived, they mark where nature paused and is now returning. It doesn't rise with drama. It doesn't dominate the skyline, but those who know it feel it. This is Bear Butte, or Matopaha, Bear Mountain to the Lakota. A place not of conquest, but of ceremony. Geologically, Bear Butte is the core of an ancient volcano, a laccolith, where magma swelled beneath the Earth's crust but never erupted. Over millions of years, Wind and rain stripped away the softer stone, revealing this dome of hardened lava. It stands alone, just east of the Black Hills, like a sentinel between earth and sky. But its true power isn't in its geology, it's in its meaning. For the Lakota, Cheyenne, and many Plains tribes, Bear Butte is a sacred site. A place of vision quests, fasting, and prayer. Its slopes are lined with prayer cloths, tobacco bundles, and offerings tied to branches, living expressions of connection between people and land. This is where leaders like Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull once came to seek guidance. And still today, indigenous nations travel here from across North America, honoring traditions that reach back thousands of years. Hiking the Butte is unlike any other summit. The wind is constant, the view is infinite, and the silence asks something of you. Respect, intention, stillness. Bear Butte isn't just a mountain, it's a teacher, and in a world of noise, it remains one of the last places where the land still speaks and expects you to listen. While most of the Great Plains stretch wide, Spearfish Canyon turns everything vertical. Here, in the northern Black Hills, limestone cliffs rise 1,000 feet straight up, framing waterfalls, rare forests, and a creek that never stops moving. This canyon wasn't carved by glacial violence, but by slow, relentless water over 60 million years of erosion. Spearfish Creek runs year-round, one of the fastest-flowing trout streams in the region. It's lined with paper birch, boxelder, and spruce, species more typical of northern climates, preserved here by the shade and moisture of the canyon walls. Hidden within the cliffs are layers of time, marine fossils, mineral seams, and prehistoric ripples frozen in stone. Trails lead to places like Bridal Veil Falls and Roughlock Falls, where water descends in slow sheets through mossy ledges and spray-soaked fern beds. Spearfish Canyon isn't loud, it's layered, a vertical prairie, hidden in the hills, where every echo has a place to go. Formed by a dam in 1881, but surrounded by rock carved over 1 billion years ago, it's where geology and serenity meet. Massive boulders emerge from the water like broken crowns, reflecting perfectly on calm days, drawing photographers, hikers, and those who just need stillness. Nearby trails lead to Cathedral Spires, Black Elk Peak, and even the back route to Mount Rushmore. But the lake holds its own. It's not loud, not grand, just perfectly balanced. A mirror for the sky, tucked deep in the hills. On a quiet rise on the Pine Ridge Reservation, surrounded by wind and sky, lies Wounded Knee. A place of mourning, memory, and unresolved truth. It was here, in December of 1890, that the U.S. 7th Cavalry surrounded a Lakota camp and opened fire. Over 250 Lakota men, women, and children were killed. The frozen ground became a mass grave. The survivors lived with silence, trauma, and resistance. The hills have since grown quiet, but the silence here is not peace, it is presence. Visitors find a cemetery, a humble memorial, and the enduring strength of the Lakota people, whose ancestors still walk this land in spirit. Wounded Knee is not a tourist site. It's a place of reflection, a chapter in history that asks not to be rewritten, but to be acknowledged and never forgotten. Every August, the small town of Sturgis becomes something else entirely, a living, roaring machine. What starts as quiet prairie turns into a global gathering of chrome, leather, and motion. The Sturgis Motorcycle Rally, born in 1938, now draws hundreds of thousands of riders from across the world. But it's more than just engines and exhaust. It's tradition, it's freedom, and it's a collision between culture and landscape. Where the Black Hills rise in the background like stone sentinels, steady beneath the storm. Here, rebellion rides through sacred land, and for 1 week each year, South Dakota becomes movement itself. If you're still with us on this ride, take a moment to subscribe to Era Trails. We explore the roads, the wild places, and the hidden wonders that most overlook. Tucked into a gulch in the northern Black Hills, Deadwood is more than a town. It's a time capsule sealed in gold dust and gun smoke. Born in the 1870s gold rush and made infamous by names like Wild Bill Hickok and Calamity Jane, Deadwood thrived on lawlessness, gambling, and survival. The hills here were sacred to the Lakota, rich in meaning before they were ever rich in or... But when gold was discovered, the flood began. Tents turned to timber, timber turned to legend, and the graveyard on the hill grew fast. Today, the streets are paved and the stories polished, but Mount Moriah Cemetery, the old mining shafts, and the restored facades still whisper the truth. Deadwood was never civilized. It just learned to entertain. Spanning over 2 million acres in the southwestern corner of South Dakota, the Pine Ridge Reservation is home to the Oglala Lakota Nation, a place of strength, sorrow, and spiritual continuity. This land carries the weight of history, from the broken promises of the U.S. government to the enduring scars of the Wounded Knee Massacre. Pine Ridge is more than a reservation. It's a living testament to Native resistance and survival. Yet beyond the headlines and hardship, there's also beauty. Sweeping prairies, sacred buttes, and a culture still rooted deeply in tradition. Ceremonial grounds, traditional beadwork, Lakota language immersion schools. These aren't relics. They're the pulse of a people refusing to be erased. Travelers are welcomed with care and context, and those who come seeking truth will find more than history. They'll find resilience etched into the very soil. They stretch endlessly in every direction, windswept, golden, and often overlooked. But the South Dakota Plains are more than just space between destinations. They are the silent soul of the state. These grasslands, dotted with sagebrush, cottonwoods, and bison trails, once supported millions of migrating animals and the nomadic lives of the Lakota and Dakota peoples. Today, they remain rich in wildlife. Antelopes sprint over the ridges, prairie dogs whistle warnings near their burrows, and red-tailed hawks circle above the tall grass. The plains are where sky meets earth in a conversation older than memory. It's here that thunderstorms rise like mountains, that sunrises stretch across horizons without end, and that time itself seems to slow down. You won't find crowds or grand entrances, but what you will find is something quieter and more profound. a vastness that humbles, and a landscape that reminds you what it means to simply be still. From the thundering falls of Sioux Falls to the silent echoes of Wounded Knee, from the rugged formations of the Badlands to the tranquil waters of Sylvan Lake, South Dakota is more than a place. It's a story carved into stone, whispered across the plains, and carried in the wind through canyons and forests alike. It's where ancient cultures left their marks, where wildlife still roams freely, and where even the smallest towns carry legacies that shaped a nation. But perhaps the real wonder of South Dakota is how it surprises you, how it transforms from iconic monuments to deeply personal experiences the deeper you explore. If this journey moved you, inspired you, or simply made you curious, subscribe to Era Trails to uncover more untold stories and hidden wonders from around the world. Share this video with a fellow explorer, and let's keep discovering together one trail at a time.